Hello and welcome back to Staying Healthy and Preventing COVID 19 infection during the current pandemic. In this video, we are going to discuss a few basic principles necessary to address while impending relaxation of curfews and locking downs. One thing to address is also the food insecurity for the low income families in particular. The government in emerging economies and developing countries neither have financial capacity nor logistic to deliver food to all people, particularly in remote areas. So that's unrealistic. The promised food distribution by government so far has not materialized except in few locations and politically important areas. So during the first 3 weeks of curfews or month of locking down, the 19 out of 25 locations we contacted failed to receive any promised food deliveries, whether it's by trucks, three-wheelers, or through carts. So despite claims, the distribution and access to food is not uniform and many were starving. Despite the assurances, there were little or still there's a major shortage of food in the country. Distribution systems and the supply chain are completely paralyzed. All the farmers may have the food, but no way they can sell it, or middlemen can get it transported properly and uniformly. However, the rich, the elite, and most government servants, perhaps except teachers and the clerical staff, do have access to food, while most other lower middle class and the poor continue to suffer from the food insecurity and are the most affected from curfews. Based on the failure of social distancing alone, imposing curfews and locking down cities and provinces became an instantly let down in the country's productivity and failed to deliver neither the intended public health measure nor essential services. This error of judgment by task forces and government could now become the nidus for the new wave of multiple outbreaks, which is happening already and is likely to get worsened within the next few weeks. The governmental approaches that do not consider the broader effective public protection are illogical and harmful indeed to the population. And also this can get worsened due to unacceptability, limited capacity of COVID-19 testing in hospital and insufficient intensive care facilities, especially in large peak outbreak when they occurs in the future. So whatever the actions taken by the government should be think through very carefully and should be sensible and justifiable in public. So one should be directed these strategies to minimize crowd gathering and to facilitate peaceful shopping to obtain food and other essential items like banking and pharmacy supply, etc. So, for example, one can create a system that allows less than 15% of the population to reach supermarket to purchase food, with that spread over 6 to 8 hour period, as I explained in my last video explicitly. During this period, the rest of the public or families should stay at home or work from home to improve the productivity of the country. In addition to implementing such a rule, to be successful, all food stores should be allowed, perhaps mandated, to keep open every day of the week from 8 a.m. at least till 5 p.m. and then allow the limited number of shoppers to enter into the shops to avoid social gatherings inside the shops. Such would markedly minimize the rush and the panic to obtain food and avoid the risk of exposure of the thousands of vulnerable people gathering at storefronts where they get exposed to COVID 19. It's also a good business model that would allow markets to transport and refill food each day after closure and also gradually start to opening up the economy for the benefit of the country and its people. This will significantly reduce the exposure of both store workers and the public to risk of COVID-19. So this area is I specifically addressed in the previous video and how this could be implemented without any hassle or expenses whatsoever. And the details of this was published in the linkedin.com Sunil.Wimalawansa in a series of articles, including the one specifically states that how to minimize the crowd gathering in supermarket, which was published more than 4 weeks ago in the linkedin.com site. So with reference to social distancing, avoiding all large gathering is essential to markedly reduce the spread of highly communicable diseases such as COVID-19. Instead, the previous claims of a gathering of less than 10, I strongly advise that the gathering should be no more than 2 or 3 people, the maximum. There's no reason whatsoever for people to gather, to chat or do whatever. All this communication nowadays can be done over the phone. However, if the curfew to be continue or the cracking down the cities or locking down the cities is continue weeks and on, with allowing a haphazard few-hour break in between to gather completely failed system of failed social distancing, that is really asking for more trouble and spreading of the disease itself. So if that happens, consequently it's going to lead to new community outbreaks or spread of the COVID-19, which is going to be not easy to control, as we discussed the previous 3 videos on specifically, as there are 20 to 40 fold more people in the community affected with COVID-19 but without they knowing themselves. This is because unless you check the community folks randomly to test for COVID-19, there's no way of identify the percentage or portion of the people affected, and thereby you allow them to keep the disease spread in the community. So this only way to prevent that is to do the community testing in a large scale and take preventative action, and not by locking down cities, no by curfews. A simple novel strategy that I discussed in the previous video, I hope the governments will consider and implement immediately prior to lifting curfews and restrictions. In any case, restrictions countrywide is not a good option because the severity of the problems and the tendency to getting secondary peaks varies from place to place, and just a mere blanket release of curfew is really a mistaken attitude. Thank you. Bye.